This is a republication of a previous video about how Eric Rudolph almost killed me, which was mistakenly deleted, so I'm republishing it now. Most days when I drive into my office, I go over Red Mountains and then down through 5 Points, which is on the eastern side of UAB's campus. I turn left at 10th Avenue South, and in the past, when I did this, 2 blocks down, I would pass an abortion clinic. And frequently in January, protesters who are anti-abortion would march up 20th Street, turn on 10th Avenue, and stand in front of the abortion clinic protesting. And I would often pass them in January, especially on the anniversary of Roe versus Wade. In January of 1998, I passed by the clinic. There were no protesters there. And unknown to me, previously that morning, a man named Eric Rudolph, under the cover of darkness, had placed a large FedEx box at the front door of the abortion clinic. And in that box, there was a steel plate and hundreds of 6-inch nails. And it had a trigger device such that when someone touched it, it would explode and push the nails in arc and kill anybody in front of the box. I was lucky that I wasn't there a few minutes later. Across the street was a Ronald McDonald's house. And after the blast, steel nails were found in the wall across the street and in some parked cars along the street. Those nails could easily have gone into me on the driver's side. I'm Gregory Pence. This is Great Stories in Bioethics, my personal YouTube story and YouTube channel. These are some of the stories I post each week about my career in bioethics. By chance, on this particular day, an adjunct philosophy professor named Lisa Hermes, whom I knew well, she worked as a receptionist at this abortion clinic. And on her way that morning, her daughter, Leah, had decided that her genes were not the right ones and insisted that they go back to their house so she could change. And like a good mother, Lisa shrugged and decided to go back and let Leah change, even though she knew she might be a little late opening up the clinic. So instead of Lisa Hermes opening the clinic that morning, a nurse named Emily Lyons and an off-duty Birmingham police officer named Robert Sandy Sanderson touched the FedEx box, which blew up, and the nails penetrated their body. It was a huge explosion. It was heard blocks away. Within minutes, emergency personnel had come. They were both taken a few blocks away to the emergency room at UAB, where staff worked heroically on both of them. They could not save Officer Sanderson. They did save Emily Lyons, who was pretty disfigured for a while. We don't really know a lot about Eric Rudolph's motives. We know that he had been in the Air Force, where he had military training. We know he had absorbed a lot of different ideas like Nietzsche, Christian nationalism, white supremacy. I knew he was against a lot of things. We now know that he bombed Centennial Park during the Olympics. He had something against the Olympics. He bombed a gay and lesbian nightclub in Atlanta. He bombed an abortion clinic in Sandy Springs, and he bombed the abortion clinic in Birmingham, Alabama. Well, something interesting happened as to how he got caught. Like a lot of people who set fires or set bombs, he waited to see and to watch to see if someone approached the clinic. And when the bomb went off, he then, I guess he was only a block away, started to walk up Red Mountains, where a couple blocks away he had parked his truck, his getaway truck. And about a block or two away was Raz dorm, and there was a UAB student in that dorm. And like a lot of people, he went towards the blast and the sounds. However, he was very smart because he did something that resulted eventually in Eric Rudolph being caught. You may not know this, but the way the police caught the bombers of the Boston City Marathon years ago was that when they examined the visual footage, everybody was going towards the blast except two people who were slowly walking away. And that was very suspicious, and it turned out they were the ones who had planted the bomb. So this student followed Eric Rudolph and copied down his license plate numbers. So very quickly, they had an idea who the bomber was. Eric Rudolph was trained as a survivalist, and he went to the woods of western North Carolina, where he managed to evade the FBI and police for 5 years. He was on the 10 most wanted list for a long time, and millions were spent trying to apprehend him. He must have had help. Somebody must have been feeding him. He was eventually discovered by a police officer who saw him dumpster diving and was a little bit suspicious and apprehended him, handcuffed him, and that was it. Rudolph was sentenced to 4 life terms, and he is now in the United States UMass Florence prison in Colorado for our most extreme cases. He's next to Unabomber Ted Kaczynski, and both of them are in their cells 22 and a half hours a day, and that's the only time they ever get out. So there's another interesting part of the story. In 2010, I took a creative writing seminar at UAB. I was in Carrie Madden's course. Before I presented my story, I heard a story, a very talented young woman named Leah. And it took me a while to realize, which I eventually told her, that she was the Leah Hermes who had saved her mother's life. It's an interesting way that it's a small world in Birmingham. Today, Leah is a nurse practitioner at UAB in cardiology and works for one of my former medical students, Greg Chapman, who's also a UAB physician. Anyway, that's my story for today about how the abortion clinic bomber got caught. I hope you liked the story. If you did, please give me a thumbs up. Bye.